coming closer to it now that we can see some of our citizens, they have been extradited to the United States.
If we allow politics...
Let's begin with Farah.
Okay, well, I had initially wanted to comment on the BVR, but be that as it may, because Al-Shabaab has claimed that there were no BVRs that were stolen from the attack.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Let's focus on this. We'll come back to this other one later, because that's also a very serious situation. We don't know where those BVRs are. So anyway, let me come to this. Yes, I doubt very much if the government is that sincere about the war on drugs, because I am sure both Kioni and Peter, Professor Peter Nyanyongo, do remember in the last parliament, I happened to have been on the chair when this issue was being discussed in parliament. And I had the most shocking thing one could ever hear, and I don't know, nobody talked about it the following day. The nation was not concerned, the system and the government of the day was not concerned, when there were claims that military assets were used in moving drugs and storing drugs, and specifically SLE. And I talked to the person who was supposed to reply on that from the government that time, and later asked him, what is it that, and he was never able to give a categorical denial on that. And he just flipped his hands, and it's like he knew something has happened and was helpless himself, and didn't want to say anything about it. At that time, it was the Assistant Minister for Defense. And we were told that this exists, this is happening in the country. So to try and feign any commitment towards drugs, many Kenyans who believe that destruction of the ship up there was not destroyed. There are many people who believe that big hole that was there during our time, which was also claimed to have been destroyed, was clearly not destroyed. And so this I think right now is a knee-jerk reaction to try and use it also because there's pressure from the Americans, serious pressure from the Americans, and the system also is a little bit lost on action.
Thank you.
But if it is genuine,
thank you.
If it's genuine, I mean, let me just finish it. If indeed the president and his deputy are genuine, to the extent that they want to see the end of this, and not them or their friends or anybody is not a beneficiary of that, or the other would not want to have any dalliance with that, I would suggest this is the best thing that can happen to this country. This country, we have lost our country now to drugs, I can assure you. And I can see a situation in which the next president of this country could be a known drug lord, easily, because they'll have all the money, and it's like Kenyans don't care about where the source of money is. So if they are genuine on that, like many times they have had a false start, they look like they're genuine on something, including corruption, when that list was there in parliament and the rest of it, and later on only to find out it was a hoax. We're just being taken on a wild goose chase. I believe it's a wild goose chase from the president and his deputy. But if they're genuine on that, then I can assure you that's one thing all Kenyans are going to support him or support them on.
All right, thank you. And lastly, we have this particular editorial cartoon here by Star. The Star we have, this is Victor. And this is all about the National Alliance, the National Super Dalliance. So this is what he has drawn for us today. You can grab this copy of the Star and look out at this particular editorial cartoon. Now, the process of registering yes.
Go back to this drug thing. I don't think we should treat it lightly.
They don't treat it lightly. Listen.
I think we should go to the bottom of it.
Yes.
Because Farah has raised a very important issue. Drugs is about law enforcement agencies. I think the way that Ruto and Duale were trying to politicize it is wrong. It's about law enforcement agencies. Yeah. That's one. If you don't have a strong law enforcement agency to deal with drugs, you're going to lose the battle. Secondly, we know that drug lords smear themselves into all systems of government. They will not be reluctant to infiltrate all systems of government so that they are protected. Yeah. It is the duty of the particular drug law enforcement agency, which is in charge of chasing this, to pin where the drug lords have penetrated. That is a law enforcement agency business. Now, I will tell you, I lived in Mexico for close to 3 years, and I saw the war on drugs taking place. Now, the police boss, Durazno, a man called Durazno, of Mexico City, was actually the man who had been ensnared into the drug net. And when government changed, Durazno had to escape to Washington. This means that the drug lords in Mexico also had tentacles in Washington to protect Durazno. So I really think that it should not be simplified that question of Raila and Uhuru. No, I really think we are going the wrong direction. We should find out the NSIS is involved, the CID is involved, and the agents of the state. The military intelligence is involved.
Indeed,
These are the agents, and the port intelligence. Indeed. These are the agencies who should be put on the table, on spot, to find out how they are tracking drug lords, because people in NSIS have the power to investigate politicians. The CID have the power to investigate anybody. The port intelligence has the power to investigate anything coming in. And if they are not already netted into the drug network, then they should be able to do the job. Yeah. And I think what I'm witnessing in this country over the last 10 or so years is exactly what I witnessed in Mexico in the early 80s. No wonder that the drug problem got out of hand in Mexico, whereby now people were killing each other to protect their turf. So I think we shouldn't take it lightly. I really don't like that kind of thing, because that kind of thing simplifies the issue. Right. It really simplifies the issue.
The editorial cartoon.
Yeah, it simplifies the issue.
It's unfortunate that some leaders want to make this a political. To me, it should not be politicized at all. Drug is a serious, serious problem in this country. And I think it needs to be seen at that level, the national level, not narrowing it down to either Raila or... I agree with Senator Nyang.
All right, let's hear from Kioni, then we'll come to Dr. Shemachot.
Why the fight on corruption, we keep losing it, is every time we try to fight corruption, we introduce politics, and we say this is this side being fought by the other side. If we allow the same mentality to clip into this drug war, or drug war, we will lose this battle. And it will be very costly to everybody. There's nobody who is safe when you are dealing with drugs, guys. Like Professor is saying, once they are near you, it's a matter of time before they eventually clear you. Yeah. Because that is the way, when you read about these things, that's the way they operate. They are with you for a while, then they clear you. And they have no value for life. So I think the most important thing that we must do as politicians from all levels is to avoid politicizing it. It will take perhaps your major political financier, but let it be. If you really love the country, let him go.
Thank you.
And it should be the same both sides.
Right. Let's hear from Dr. Shemachot.
Debal, you remember I said at one point that the 4 biggest problems to credibility of elections in this country, one of them is the role of finance in elections. And it, to an extent, it boils down to that. We've commercialized our leadership and our politics so much that we elect leaders not on the basis of the quality they bring to the table, but how much they're able to buy and bribe their way into leadership. With due respect, I must compliment government for taking on the fight of drug barons. In fact, I don't think there is any bigger battle a government in Kenya can do today than fighting drug barons. It's much bigger than even the problem of corruption, although they're intertwined. But I agree with my colleagues, there must be seriousness and genuineness in doing this. A knee-jerk action really is not going to do it. There must be a comprehensive plan to do it. But we must acknowledge perhaps the biggest problem we have in Kenya today is drugs. It's a problem, it's destroying our children, it's destroying our schools. So it's something that requires attention, but let's do it in a manner that befits fighting the drug menace. But having said that, I should also add that, you know, when the problem is both sides, and I'm not surprised there's apathy in voter registration. Kenyans look around. What do we have? What have we got in the market? You have Jubilee on this side and we have CORD on the other. And there is a major problem. This brings about the apathy. In fact, part of my thinking is perhaps to change tact. When people go out asking for voters to register, don't ask them to register to vote for a particular person.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Let's just wind up with the... But, Professor, if you look at this, is this any better? This that has been drawn by Stano of People Daily. right? This is the
Yeah,
drug
I think
barons.
that's better because that puts the...
No.
Yeah.
No, government...
I think
The government is trying. Yeah,
seriously
this is a
false.
band-aid solution, but yes, we
It's
still
the
the
government
roots.
trying to cut down the drug barons. You see the
Oh,
government
yeah,
there with
I didn't see that. I didn't see this other fellow with that. No.
that's hoax.
I only saw the
absolute
thing.
nonsense.
Yeah. So what about the roots? So
Nonsense.
what we are seeing is just
but
a
in the
band-aid
airport-
solution.
No, there are two ways of interpreting that. Farah, I'm sorry to...
Yes, that's okay.
There are two ways of interpreting that. Either the cartoon is saying, look, government, if you want to deal with drugs, cut the drug barons at the roots. And then the other says, so what about the roots? Now, the cat is saying, okay, look, you're talking about the roots, but what do you mean by the roots? I think there is a debate there, the way I see it. There's a big debate there. We can't just say it is nonsensical because the cat there, who is always wiser than this, is always wiser than everybody else, said, fine, you are saying you're cutting the root, but I'm not quite sure what you are doing. What about the roots? Because the roots may be the government itself.
Absolutely. The roots could be something, actually the drug barons could be there doing the bidding for very powerful people in the government.
Exactly.
And so the roots could be the government.
And I think this is what we have also to avoid on this panel. When we now say the roots is the government, you have already politicized it.
No. Let's not go there.
Losing the battle.
No, the cat is doubtful.
Fantastic.
It may be because
Let's leave it at that.
holding the axe.
Thank you. Let's leave it at that.
Are you sure?